Sit. We always have her wait at all the boundaries, the doorways and the gates. This is a big one for her. It's just tough for her because it's the gate that goes out into the real world, out in public. And so she always had a problem waiting here. She's here because she had a tendency to just bolt and run away and never come back. Okay, until she was ready. So we're practicing with a lot of boundaries with her. As you can see, I waited, I stepped through first. She waited till I stepped back next to her. She walked through with me, and then I closed the gate, of course, behind me. And here at this curb, sit. We're gonna do a real quick sit stay because the cement's kind of hot. And then, okay, across the street in the shade, I'll have her sit, and I'll do the walk around sit stay that I would have done at that curb. So if I'm having her wait at the curb, sit. I'm stepping out into the street a little bit, just maybe 2 feet. We're gonna do this little sit stay here, not at the curb because the curb is out in the sun and the concrete's kind of hot. But let's say this is the curb and we have her sit and wait at the curb. I step out onto the pavement, like out on the street like that, walk around her both ways, come back next to her. Okay, we cross the street on the other side, which is where we are now. Sit. I have her sit and then go. I release her, be free. And because we came out, I had her wait at the doorway, and then I had her wait at the gateway, which you saw, and then the curb, and then here, your walk starts off way more calm than before because she's been in the zone for the last 2 minutes, waiting at every boundary. You start to do this consistently. You do it consistently every day, and you start, having the walk start like this with a much calmer dog. If you put the leash on her, you let her pull you out through the front door. The tight leash is there. Tension on the leash creates more stress in the dog and will amp her up. And she pulls you through the gate or wherever, down your driveway. You don't do anything with the curb. She's ready to just take off if you don't start the training on the inside of your front door, have her wait at each boundary, which, like I said, could take you just 2 minutes. It's a great thing to do, and she starts anticipating that that's going to happen every time you go on a walk. If you do it every day, it's great, and pretty soon she'll help you with it. She'll anticipate, oh, I'm going to be calm. I'm going to go to that calm place because I have to wait at all these boundaries, and you'll see that she'll get calmer and calmer. The days and the weeks that you practice this every time, she'll just get calmer and calmer because as you keep doing it, this is all she's ever going to remember in her past. Every time you do it this way, she's another day farther away from those times when she used to pull you around and take off on the street, pull out of your hands and just take off. And I know you chased her for hours before, so you want to practice all those boundaries when you're first starting the walk, and you get a much calmer dog when you start the walk. Okay. Ready? Come. So we have a dog here that had a history of, good girl, of running away and never coming back when called anywhere, actually, not in the yard, in the house, especially not out in public. So we have this 25-foot long line here, and I practice it every day in a different place. Right now we're just in this long shady spot because it's so hot today. Come. Good. So you may not have even seen that because you're going to practice this as well. You're going to practice this for a while back when she's home with you with the long line, so that you can be assured of success if by chance she ever gets away. But let's try to not let her get away again. But if she does, if you've been practicing this on a long line, she's going to be way more likely to come back to you when you call. Out here, I'm using high value rewards. I'm using chicken breast or something like that, pieces of cheese, because you want her to associate coming when called out on the street with this absolutely amazing little prize that she gets if she comes back to you. I'm letting her go to the end of the leash again, all the way to the end. Come. If you back away as well, good, back away a little bit, she's drawn to you. So make sure that you try to back away I'm actually going to, you stay there, I'm going to back away the way I usually do, and I want you to catch all that. So she's really interested in all kinds of stuff over there. It's another dog facility here, and there's a bunch of dogs in there. Come! She doesn't respond. See how I'm backing away? See how she's drawn to me? Good. She didn't respond immediately, so all I had to do was tap on this long line. She turned around. It's literally like, hello, I just called you. She turns around. She sees me with my closed hand target, backing away. She comes running. So make sure that you always practice that way. You never repeat the come command, because the pattern is she hears it once, and all she knows is she ends up coming to you every time after she's heard it once, and something really good happens. You give her a gift, and then you just let her go again. So if you do it in a way that she just loves, this fun game you do out in public, next time that she's loose, if you practice this for a while, she's way more likely to come running back to you. And when she comes to you, make sure that you hook your, and I think I wasn't doing that. So let me show you one more thing I want to add to that you have to do every time, because obviously we're practicing this for the event that's going to be an emergency, and you need her to come to you, and you need to be able to have her and take her back onto your property or into your house. So when you say come, right hand reward, left hand hooks underneath her collar, her thick red collar that has her tags on, the one that never comes off. That hooks onto her. I mean, that you hook onto that, and she's really used to this. So every time you call her to come to you, come. Good. She's very used to feeling that left hand hook under her collar like that. So you always have her. She expects it, and that way she doesn't start doing what so many dogs do. If you don't do that, they'll run over, they'll grab the treat and run away again. So always do that with your left hand, the reward with your right, in that closed fist. Because, one last thing, because if it's an emergency, you're not going to have a treat most likely, and there's not going to be a leash. So you have to pretend like you have a treat. So always call her to a closed hand when you're practicing, and there will be a treat. When you call her when there is no treat, she doesn't know it's empty. So it's just a way to make it work for you in an emergency. Make sure you hook up, with your left hand, then you got her, and you've averted disaster if that ever happens. Sit. You always have her sit before you send her on the mat. She's on your left, and with your right hand, you're going to pat her chest and say, go to your mat. Walk over with her and say, down. This is a great exercise to practice, even if you just have 3 minutes a day, because good. It develops focus in the dog. Whatever she does on this mat, she can do without the mat. I started teaching her downstay on the mat on the first day she came here, and then as we went along, I started practicing downstays without the mat, and she was really good at them because she learned on the mat at first. So it's learning this way. Good. Is a fast track to a downstay everywhere. And even if you just do what I'm doing now, you practice walking around her, walking in front of her, rewarding her. This is a really important part. Nope, don't let her touch your hand. Good, you place it on the mat. She calmly and respectfully waits until you withdraw, and she takes it off the mat. The delivery of the reward is really important. And so there's all sorts of things that you can do. You can, if you're in a fenced yard like this or in a house, you can drop the leash and walk away, of course. You can practice whatever you want. But in general, good. No matter what you do, make sure that you always reward the same way. No matter where you go or what happens, you always end up calmly rewarding her. The delivery of the reward is super important. If you don't reward her calmly, make sure she waits. If you're just throwing the food down or you're letting her touch your hand a lot, you're not going to have much from this exercise, because this exercise is supposed to be about developing a higher level of focus in the dog. And so it really depends on the person doing it. So the calmer you are, the closer you can get to the way I'm doing it with her, the better it's going to be. The way that you release her, well, first of all, if she makes a mistake, which she rarely does with me anymore, but if she makes a mistake with you, let's pretend that she got up and I'll release her. Okay, so let's pretend that was a mistake. You're going to say no, and you're going to step into her, and then with your left foot, you're just going to gently but firmly put her back. If she leaves the mat, if you are trying something more advanced and you're farther away and she jumps off the mat and you have to get her, you step into her just like that. You're going to have the leash and you step into her and she swings around on your left, and you do that same thing. Bring her back, put her back, and just say no. Don't say down again. You already said down once. So you don't want to repeat the commands over and over again, because she will become desensitized to that command, and it'll never work the first time you say it if you're repeating down, down, down every time she makes a mistake. So save that first DOWN for when you first put her there. Any mistake after that, it's no, and just put her back. That's all you say. And then when she finishes successfully like this, one last reward. Good. And then okay, and sit. So I said okay, she got up, I let her off the mat, I had her sit, and you release her. Go, like that. That's how you release her off the mat. And then always pick this mat up, because she's going to want to go hang out on it. It's not a doggy bed. It's only for this one specific exercise, and she's going to want to jump on it and go on it. So it goes down on the floor, and you go get her on a leash, you allow her on, you allow her off, you pick it up immediately and put it away. It's a very exclusive place for her to go, that you control her access on and off. Sit. We always walk her up to the person we're doing the greeting routine with. She stays in a sit stay. I walk over and hand that person a little treat there. That's for the dog, not for you. Don't eat that. And then we come back, and she's crazy about flies, and we have a lot of flies here today. I'm going to pat her chest and say, go say hi. She's going to go get the treat, and she gets petted a little bit maybe. Come, call her back to come to me. You see how she just does it automatically. We do this every day, so sit. She's done it hundreds of times at this point. Every day we send her over, I call her back to me. Go, treat, gets the treat, come, call her back to me, good girl. It's just a great way to practice the sit, stay, sit, the come command, the being respectful of other people, not jumping on them, greeting them in a respectful way, no. So if she collapses into a down, which is one of her big issues that's kicking in from time to time, you just say no and you reset her. See how I stepped into her, reset her, and still I haven't said nope. I haven't said SIT more than once, because that first time needs to hold for maybe, a minute if need be. So she waits one more time, we'll do it. The leash is always loose. Go say hi. She gets the treat. She gets petted. She doesn't jump. Come. You call her back to come to you. Good. Sit. So you see that we have the sit stay. We got no. We have the sit stay. We've got the waiting, to go over to say hi to the person. We've got the release to go say hi, and we've got the come in this greeting routine. And if you ever have an issue with her jumping anymore on people, you need to do this greeting routine with guests, people that come to your house. Don't do it on the inside of your front door. Try to do it outside, and then you all come in together. And then actually it's best if, let's say that this was outside your house, and we just finished this greeting routine with this person. I'm you, and nope, you have to sit. I'm you, and this is your guest. And we did it 3 times. Now he's gonna go into the house first, turn around, and one more greeting routine. We come in after him. One more greeting routine in the living room, and then depending on what she's acting like, because I know she doesn't have aggression with people, but she might still be overstimulated. Nope. Might want to do a couple other training things with her, but it's definitely a great start to making things better, much better than her jumping all over somebody just because they just appear, coming through the front door. that's the worst place for her to meet somebody, is on the inside of your front door like that. So remember, the last part of this is one more treat to your visitor. They walk in front of you, you walk in, you send her over to you in your main living area, and then it should be fine after that. Okay. Sit. We always have her sit first, and she's on the leash, as you can see. She's going to want to run in there, but see how if you tap her lightly, she'll stay where she is? No. So you see how she is if the door is opened? She pops up out of a sit stay. Since this crate, the crate routine is actually, it's a tool for training, we're gonna ask her to stay in a sit stay while that door opens and wait to be allowed to go inside. And I think you might have an issue with this when I'm not there and she's back home with you. So I'm gonna do it right now the way that I think you should do it for a while. I have some of this training treat, and you could use chicken breast or something, some high value reward, and just say, go, toss it in, she'll follow it in. What happens very often is a dog that's perfectly fine with going in and out of the crate here, and loves her crate, eats in there, and just can't wait to go in, and doesn't want to come out half the time. I take them back home, and when I'm not there anymore, they start barking in the crate, or they start putting on the brakes. They don't want to go in the crate with their owner, and so you might have to use little tricks like that. You saw I had some training treats and a little piece of chicken breast all at once, and I just went like that, go, and I tossed them as I made the motion to go into the crate, and she followed them in, and she had the treat, and then she turned around, she gets another treat. I'm going to unhook this prong collar, this little tiny prong collar we're using for her. It's made it a lot easier to handle her, and I just want to explain to you how we're using this. When we're attaching it to the leash, we attach the leash to it's a funny shaped little buckle, and there's another ring here, and you can probably see it. It's just a spacer, and you don't touch that, but the leash is attached to the little buckle there. And when you don't have it on her, like when you take it off like I just did, you just hang it on the door like that so it doesn't get tangled up in a little ball, and it'll take you 10 minutes to untangle it, so just hang it on the door. And by the way, the crate here has been a place where she sleeps overnight. It's her den, basically. We always feed her inside the crate. She gets all kinds of treats. Whenever she goes in there, she gets a treat. When I go to take her out, like I'll show you in a minute, she gets a treat. So all good associations with being in the crate, coming and going out of the crate. She's probably out of the crate every hour and a half. She's constantly going in and out of the house and waiting at all the boundaries. This is a very important boundary, the doorway to her crate. So that's why we're having to wait for permission to go in, and then you'll see in a second that she waits for permission to come out. The way that I take her out of the crate is, first I hook up the little prong collar to the leash. We're all ready to go. Make sure it's not twisted, because if it's twisted, it won't work. So it's not going to work if it's all twisted up. So just let it hang like that, and make sure that the chains aren't twisted, and it's all ready to go. If she tries to come out before you release her out, just do these little bounces with the door. You're not slamming her in the face, you're just doing these little token slams, I think I'd call them. She waits, I give her a little handful of treats, I reach in there. So you hook up this prong collar right below the ears. It's the highest collar up, it's above the collar with her tags. So it's right underneath her ears, the highest one up, closest to her head. And it should just be lightly touching all the way around. Shouldn't be really super tight, but it shouldn't be loose either, because if you put too many links in there, it'll be loose, and you pull on it and it'll kind of stick her. So it's just lightly touching all the way around, and you'll see when we bring her to you exactly what that's like. But she's got the prong collar on, the leash on. She has to wait for permission to come out. So I'll open the door, and I used to do this exercise with her where I'd open the door. When she'd wait, I gave her a reward. If she tried to burst out of there, I'd say no, and do that, and then she'd wait. Good. So I don't have to do that here anymore, because she waits for permission to come out. Okay, but you may have to do that little exercise at your house for a while that I just showed you. When she waits, you give her a treat. When she tries to come out, you do that little bounce of the door to get her to wait. But because she's done it so much, she'll get it pretty quickly. If you do what I did, she'll get it, and she'll do that for you as well. So I already went over sleeping in the crate overnight. You can make it really comfortable. Blankets, doggy bed, whatever you want to put in there. Feed her meals in there. The door's always closed. If you don't close the door, there's no reason to use the crate. It's all about controlling her boundary. And she loves flies. You see her trying to hunt flies right now. There's no point in using the crate unless you're going to control the boundary to her den by keeping the door closed. It's closed when she's in and it's closed when she's out, because you don't want her to just be able to run in and out at will, so you always close it when she's out as well. And everything's super positive about this crate. It's not about a correction. It's not about timeouts or punishment. It can't be. You can't associate the crate with anything negative. And it is a great tool for your overall training, because you have a way to manage her in a way that she loves, a place that she loves to be in, and it offers doing this routine the way I just showed you, gives her more structure than she had before, and it's a very healthy way to manage the crate in her life. And look, she wants to go back inside, but she can't because the door's closed. She has to go in there only with your permission. And it does improve the relationship between you and her as well, because if you're the one that allows her to go in and out of her den where all good things happen, then you must be more in charge than before. So it is a little piece of the puzzle that adds up with all the other pieces of the puzzle that changes her perception of who you are and makes her a lot more likely to respond when you do the training with her. Okay, let's go this way. Okay.